The next couple of videos, I want to tell you a number of stories with regards to my trip to the Holy Land, to Israel, and God's 7 visits he had with me when I was over there, the 7 times he came and talked with me. Amazing stories. But the first story is about my favorite Bible character, and that's Elijah. And if you don't know the story of Elijah, you can look it up in 1 Kings, highlights around chapters 17 and 18, but I'll give you a bit of brief on it later. But we were on the bus, the tour bus, heading up the coast, the Mediterranean Sea coast there, heading north to Haifa, which is where Mount Carmel is. And I'm on the bus, and I got my maps all in front of me, and I'm studying things out, because what I planned to do, you see, when I saw the agenda, I saw that they were going to Mount Carmel on the bus tour, but they weren't going to do anything with Elijah. What they were doing is they were going up there to see the Baha'i Faith Temple. Like, what is a Protestant tour doing going to the Baha'i Temple when you're in Israel? I'd understand that. So I told Patricia, and I told my guide too, that on that day I wouldn't be staying with them. I was going to leave when they stopped there, and I was going to take a taxi or climb, whatever it took, to go to the top of Mount Carmel. And I was going to stay overnight on the top of Mount Carmel, and hopefully God and maybe even Elijah would come and visit me and talk with me that night. Anyway, that was the plan. And that's what I was going to do. Patricia wasn't happy with it, neither was the tour guide, but that's what I was going to do. So I'm on the bus, about 40 kilometers south of Haifa, Mount Carmel, and God shows up in the bus. And he says, "Hey, look over there. That's where it happened." And I go, no, God, you got that wrong. No, look at the map here. Look at the map. I've been studying this map for weeks. I said, we're right here, and Mount Carmel's up here, and it says right here, Mount Carmel, and it says Elijah's monument. I said, so it's up here, not over here. And so, of course, God just ignored what I had to say, thank heavens. And he says, "Oh, and by the way, I know you were planning on visiting me on Mount Carmel, but I'm not coming. I don't go to Mount Carmel. I'm not going there." He says, and one other thing, he says, you should really go and see that Baha'i Faith Temple. And with that, he was gone. It's like, what? I travel halfway around the world to see you here on Mount Carmel, and you blow in here in 10 seconds, tell me you're not going to come, and then tell me to go to this Baha'i Faith thing. So I'm fuming the next hour while we pull into town and get near the temple there. And of course, if I'd been paying attention instead of fuming over my own thing, I would have seen all the big billboard sign that said Elijah's cave here, Elijah's monument here, what all have you. Instead, I ended up looking for hours later for them just because I wasn't paying attention at the time to what I should have been. Anyway, moving along with the story. So we pulled in there, and of course, sure enough, the Baha'i Faith, beautiful. I mean, they've built this garden, absolutely gorgeous garden, all the way from the bottom of Mount Carmel all the way up to the top, and a gorgeous, I think it's a white temple right in the middle of it all. Just absolutely beautiful. So I go in there, and of course, there's this big plaque as you go in, and it says, Baha'i Faith, holy place. And I go, that's not your holy place. This is my holy mountain. Get off of it, my opinion. Anyway, and so I went in there, and the announcer comes on the PA system and says, the temple is going to be closing in 15 minutes, so if you want to go, you're going to have to hurry. Well, that's still quite a long ways away, and I thought, oh, shucks, I'm not going to make it. And then I thought, well, God said I should go, and, usually when God suggests something, it's pretty smart to actually do what he, suggests. The previous day we were down in, I think the name of the town south of there, where Noah took got on the boat and headed off to leave when he was supposed to go to Nineveh. Of course, we know how that all turned out with his whale experience and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the Baha'i Faith, and I make it to the temple. I get in there, and I read all their manuscripts and stuff, and it's quite interesting. It's all roads lead to God, and peace and contentment and tranquility, and that all religions should come together and worship the same God, type of a thing. So I'm leaving the temple, and I get out, and I'm going around the corner. All of a sudden, God comes out, and he grabs me, and he plants me against the wall, and he says, "This is what's wrong with my church today." And I go, and he's gone. I go, "What, you just can't blow in here and say that and not explain what you're talking about?" Well, God didn't explain at that time, but he did come back, but not there on Mount Carmel. He came back when I was on Mount Calvary, and he explained what he meant by that, plus a lot of other things, which I'll get to in a number of videos down the road. So, anyway, we after we left the temple in the Baha'i faith area, we got on the bus, and of course we went to the hotel we were staying at that night, because no sense climbing up Mount Carmel, because God's not going to show up anyway. So the funny thing is, our hotel is right on the tippity top of Mount Carmel, overlooking the ocean. And it's a gorgeous 5-star hotel. So I got to sleep in a 5-star hotel on top of Mount Carmel. Got all my wishes come true, but I didn't have to sleep out in the cold or in the danger or any of that kind of stuff. It was really great. So, well, we checked in and had dinner, New Orleans dinner, and I said, Elijah's monument's got to be around here somewhere. I said, we're within blocks of it. We got to go find it. And we couldn't find it. And so we were asking at the desk, do you know where it is? No, they didn't know. And asked the taxi drivers, and no, they didn't know. And said, well, maybe that old taxi driver over there, he might know. And so I go over and see him, and I ask him, and he says, you mean scorched earth? I said, yes, that's it. That's exactly it. I've read that. That's what they call it in the tourist magazines. I said, take me there. I'll pay you. Take me there. And he said, no, can't do that. I said, yeah, I'll pay you whatever it takes. I got to go. This life, one of my bucket list life things I got to do. He says, no, sir, you don't understand. He says, I can't take you there. He says, it's 40 miles south of here, 40 kilometers south of here. And I go, really? Of course. When I told God he was wrong, and anyway, I took a picture of that mountain just in case I happen to be wrong, which does happen quite a lot. And he said, also, you can't go there because it's closed. They're renovating it, and there's a big fence all around it, barricaded, and you can't get in. No how. They got guards and everything. You can't go there. So I settled in on the fact I can't go there after traveling halfway around the world to get there. But Patricia said, come on, let's go look at the view over here, because we're on top of the mountain and there's a lookout point overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, and it was just after sunset. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we walked the trail and got to the edge of the lookout over the Mediterranean Sea. And of course, in that part of the earth world, after the sun sets, it gets dark very quick. But there was this one cloud, and it was coming. It was just on the horizon, coming across. Now, I got to tell you a little bit of story. I'll tell you the Elijah story now, so you understand a lot of this stuff. So in the Elijah story, of course, Elijah was the prophet back in the Old Testament. And Israel had gone away from God and wasn't worshiping God Jehovah anymore. They were worshiping Baal, which they thought Baal was, they made a big idol to Baal, and they thought that Baal was the god of fertility and the god of, a good harvest and a god of rain and a god of fire. Well, God proved them wrong, and he sent the prophet to the king and said, listen, there's going to be no rain, no harvest, and it'll be a big drought until, Israel repents and turns back to God Jehovah instead of worshiping Baal. Well, they didn't do it, and years go by, and so finally Elijah comes back to the king and says, we're going to have a big showdown, and they go to the top of Mount Carmel, where Elijah says, okay, here's the game plan. What we're going to do is you guys your 700 priests to Baal, build an altar, put a sacrifice on it, but don't burn it, and I'll do the same to build an altar, put a sacrifice on it, and then we'll call to our God, and whoever's God sends down fire is the real God. And he turns to the people and he says, how long are you going to limp between these two gods, Baal and Jehovah? If God be God, then worship him. And if Baal is God, then worship him. And the sad thing is the people said nothing. So anyway, they had the contest. And of course, the Baal guys didn't succeed. And then when Elijah called down God to bring down fire from heaven, this massive fire comes down and not only consumes the sacrifice and the water that he poured on it, but it also consumed all of the rocks that were actually there and just burnt them, scorched them. That's why they call it scorched earth. It looks like a massive lightning bolt came down there and just eliminated everything that was there. And then Elijah went to the edge of the mountain overlooking the sea, and he saw this small cloud on the horizon that came towards him. And after that, he turns to his guide and he says, tell the king and his men to get into town because it's going to rain big time now. So back to my story. I'm at the edge of the mountain of Mount Carmel, overlooking the sea, and this small cloud is coming across the way, and the sun's just shining on the bottom of it because everything else is dark. The sun's shining on it as it comes right by me. I got a great picture of it. That was absolutely fantastic. And then after that, it started to rain. And, the first time I did this story, I've done it tried it a few times, of course, takes, right? Is we had a big wind come up and it poured rain on me as I got to this part of the story again. But I may add it to this clip just to show you. But that was so unique. But anyway, we got to the hotel, and the next morning we get on the tour bus, and the bus driver gets on the bus and he says, "I'm just want to apologize last night for that rain you guys had." He said, "I know it interrupted a lot of the plans that you had, but," he said, the people here in this area were greatly appreciative of that rain because they've had a drought for a long time." Absolutely amazing, the things God does, just to make an amazing story like that and share it with me. But, even though I told God he was wrong, don't we all tell God he's wrong at certain times, either by maybe not as boldly and directly as I did, but definitely in our own ways by not doing the good things he's got planned for us. Take care. Next video coming up.